Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everyone feeling today? All right, well, welcome to Kensington. If you're joining us for the first time or if you haven't been here in a while, my name is Brian. I'm the worship arts director here. I'm sitting behind the piano today. It's a little different space for me. So speaking of that, I wanted to open with a little story today. You know, I was preparing for today, practicing piano. Any other piano players here that can relate to this? Just show of hands. That was a test. I don't have a story. We need piano players, though. If you do, come talk to me. I was looking for hands because I will find you after the service and talk to you. But anyways, we're happy you're here. Thanks all for tuning in online as well. Let's all stand together as we worship. Ben's going to lead us, and so will I.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of life. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. So will I. So will I. If the stars were made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still fall short, then we'll sing again 100 billion God of salvation, chase down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I can see your heart 8 billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. Gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
Hey, well, good morning, everybody. You can have a seat if you'd like. My name is Greg. I'm part of the team here. Welcome to all of you who join us in person and to those online. A special welcome. We have a great day ahead of us. We are celebrating baptisms today, which is going to be awesome. Baptism is my favorite of the services that we have throughout the year, just because it is such an amazing picture of what Jesus does in our hearts and minds and lives and transforms us from death to life. And so that's what we're going to get to celebrate today. But it's already been an incredible weekend around here. Yesterday, we celebrated our Thanksgiving Baskets event. Who all in the room here was a part of that? Yeah, a lot of us. So we had over 30 families deliver like 65 baskets to our community. A majority of those, yeah, that's worth celebrating. A majority of those are families from our school partner, Traverse Heights Elementary. And so my son and I got to go and deliver a basket and pray for Lisa. It's just an incredible way to spread love in our community. And so thanks for being a part of that. And so Kensington-wide, with all of our campus, our goal was to give out over 1,400 Thanksgiving baskets. And we still have a few more baskets that need to be sponsored. And so if you'd still like to be a part of Thanksgiving baskets and sponsoring a basket, you can go to kensingtonchurch.org/Thanksgiving and find the information there. Well, the holiday season is upon us with Thanksgiving just this next week. I'm already trying to stretch my stomach a little bit, to get ready. But it's going to be a great time. And next Sunday, we're starting a new Advent series. And if you haven't celebrated Advent with us before, really, we take an intentional look each week, building up to celebrating Jesus coming to this earth in such a unique and profound way. And so to do that, the series is called Making Room in Advent. And so it's based on this book from our very own Betty Dickinson, which is one of our teachers here. But Betty is an incredible artist and author, and so she created this devotion that I really encourage you to grab Because in the holiday season and just the rest of life, right, the busyness crowds out time with God. And so we just encourage you, maybe even challenge you, to get this devotion and intentionally spend some time each day in this Advent season growing in your relationship with Jesus. It's going to be an incredible time. Well, lastly, we're celebrating at the end of the year. Last week, we showed our first year-end giving video, really talking about the story about how God can take a small faith and grow that step by step. And this week, we wanted to celebrate the story of a student. So let's take a look.
So recently, I had a friend of mine ask me, after having worked in the church for so long, what keeps me passionate about it and leaned in? And my answer was simply this: I am addicted to life change. And part of what we get the chance to be involved in here at Kensington is story after story after story of unbelievable transformation in people's lives.
Yeah, I think about even in our own stories where people invested in our lives in youth ministry and gave us their time and their talents and their wisdom. And we get to be a part of that for the next generation, because the next generation are going to be the future leaders. They're going to be the future parents. They're the ones who are going to continue to lead the passion for Jesus forward.
Which is why what I want on your mind as you're thinking about what to spend and how to spend and where to spend coming into the end of the year is the next generation. And just asking yourself, is that the place that's worth making an investment? I would say it absolutely is. And it's absolutely what you do when you make a year-end Christmas gift to Kensington. So the next story that we're gonna hear is a story of a young man named Chris. He's part of our Orion community. He's in high school, and this is how that group came around him recently to become a major part of the transformation he's experiencing with Jesus.
I think a lot of people expect their faith to be like that and everything's better. I think I realized, though, that it wasn't going to be like that, and I was fighting for it each day. And having that community there to help me with that and surrounding me with that support was really beneficial. Showing up to Edge, everyone is excited to have you there and to be able to share that experience with you. Right off the bat, me and Jesse we were close. We're similars in a lot of ways of just crazy, always having fun with each other and showing up to be able to have that connection right away.
Edge overall just meets on Sunday nights for all the campuses, and we kind of have a hangout time up front, just time for students to get to know each other. Some games sometimes out in the lobby, and then you're jumping into worship, group games and different things, and then some form of message, and then you get small group time, which is the best thing that we do. And it's ultimately just small discipleship.
I found just such passion and fire for Christ within Edge, finding more of who I was within Christ and defining my own faith journey.
Chris and I connected pretty quick, and we just kind of walked through that relationship through the last year, leading up to even the announcement of the Dominican trip.
I'm in band, marching band specifically, and they do this thing called drum corps. At the same time, they were promoting the Dominican Republic trip for that year. So I was in a situation where I either accepted this contract to go away for the whole summer, or I stayed and took the opportunity to go to the Dominican. And ultimately, that's what I chose.
We've been partnering with Go Ministries for years, and it's really a unique experience for us at Edge specifically because all of our campuses come together, even from Traverse City, to do work projects, to do outreaches, to do VBSs, playing with the kids, letting them braid the girls' hair or do whatever that looks like, and then stepping into a couple days of like a VBS style kids ministry, stepping into the church and just seeing the 100 kids or whatever it was that were there. They were playing Duck, Duck, Goose. They were playing musical chairs, just laughing their heads off like they've never experienced.
Personally, for me, the biggest thing that happened on the trip was I heard from God for the first time. And it came very unexpectedly. I was struggling with some things mentally, and during a worship song on our last day of the trip, it just was as clear as I could ever imagine. I've got this. Take a break. Like, I've got this under control, and that was him. In my mind, I expected a big flashy thing, and it wasn't that. It was humble and peaceful and just comforting. And it threw so many emotions at me at once. It was life-changing. A little less than a month after we returned from the Dominican, my mom passed away. She suffered through 4 cardiac arrests, and ultimately, as a family, we had to decide to let her go. But personally, I was the only person there for a while before my family could make it. And so it was just me and my mom sitting with her while she was in the hospital and suffering through that. And I couldn't do anything. My hands were tied. And it made me reflect back on what I had heard from God was, I've got this. And that shook my world. I think more so than the loss was just that it came full circle. And it's hard to talk about. It was equally as terrifying as it was spiritually transformative.
I mean, I sat with him the night he lost his mom. We came back to the Orion building after having dinner, and he's just in this phase of just, I don't even know what happened right now. And we come back to the building, and there's a worship night happening, and we step into the worship service because he's like, hey, can we go into that? I was like, I'm not gonna push you, you know? And we step into that, and we get done with that after sitting next to each other for about an hour in worship. And he's just like, I never thought on the night I lose my mom that I'd be worshiping. And then from there, it's just like this community that's constantly been there for him.
You never know, right? Obviously, we can never expect those things to happen. And even if we do, it doesn't make it any easier. So it was for me understanding that you're gonna have to face this. You can't run from it. And ultimately, that's what I found. And that's what being with Edge helped me do, because I had built that community and they were helping me through that. It was right away people, unwavering support. And to this day, I'm still getting help from people.
The community has been absolutely amazing to really begin to fund him through a GoFundMe. And we have Full Throttle now stepping into giving him a car, which comes from somebody from our congregation donating the car, and then just going, man, this would be an awesome opportunity. Let's see if it works out. And then now he's getting a car.
Ultimately, I find that service and relationships, discipling, that's where my heart is. And so to be able to find that in a place where I can go every week and be with a community that supports me has been transformative, for sure. Those are the steps you have to make, is to just keep working forward and to rely on people and not being afraid of that. That's the message that I want to share, is that you shouldn't be afraid to accept that hand off the ground, because it'll lead you through it. And ultimately, that hand picking you up off the ground is God.
Yeah, it's such a powerful story. And we at Kensington, we're passionate about students, and we're passionate about pursuing students and seeing life change. And we know that God speaks to students powerfully, and how incredible that is when God speaks to a student and that changes the trajectory of a whole life. And so when you partner with Kensington, you are a part of these stories with students. And so we just ask, when you are looking at the organizations that you support and your generosity during this time, that Kensington would be at the top of your list so that we can continue to reach out and impact the lives of students in our community. So, well, before we jump into the rest of the day, I'd love to have you guys stand up and give a high five, handshake to those around you. And again, we're glad you're here.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back on my favorite campus of the 6. And I honestly do not say that anywhere else. I know I could win love by doing that, but I love being in Traverse City. As I've shared over the times I've been here, I've been coming here to Northern Michigan for 64 years, since I was 4 years old, so this feels like home to me. So I've been here since Wednesday this week, met with a lot of people. It's been really great. I'm going to make you a promise. Steve Andrews was here last week. He did 2 things that we don't like. One is he went 45 minutes. So I'm going to go about 20. because we have baptisms today, so it'll be a short message. Those of you that have joined us online last week, you could turn it off, you could go into the kitchen. You guys had to sit here. And then you also forgot the offering, and I'm not going to forget the offering today. So, and I've told Steve that we're going to do the average offering at Traverse City and then just take that from his paycheck, his next paycheck, to make up for it. So anyhow, it's great to be here. Hey, before I jump into the message, which I'm excited to share with you, I want to give a brief update regarding this season that we're in, regarding Joel and stepping out of leadership. It was 5 weeks ago today that I stood here with Joel, and Joel shared that he had entered into some brokenness in his life and needed to step away for a season of healing and transformation. That we were in agreement as leadership with Joel in terms of this decision. And we shared the news with you, and we shared two things: that we were going to care for Joel and his family as our priority. It's not about a job. This is a person who loves God, who God has gifted, and we want to walk with him in a process that would be helpful to get him back to a good place. So we would care for them, and then we would care for you. So one of the ways caring for you is to give you updates along the way. So I'm going to do that right now, just a minute or two, in terms of what we're actually doing. So working with Joel, we put together a plan that involves some counseling, which he's been doing now for a month. Also spiritual direction, which I'm super excited about. It's a really in-depth, someone that's really wise in the things of the Lord, has experience walking around pastors, because you do know we're human beings, right? We're no different than you. The same struggles, temptations, opportunities, stresses, and strains of life, sometimes I think even more so. So there are people that are really equipped to come in these situations, and we've discovered an organization and a person that is well-suited to do this, and so this person has started to work with Joel. And Joel and I haven't talked a lot about this, but his first reaction was, this is incredible. This is going to be so helpful for my soul. So I just want to tell you that Joel, in humility, and he's jumped in with both feet. He's all in. He's doing everything that he can and everything that we've asked him to do to be in a healthy process over the next weeks and months. One of the things that I get asked all the time, and it's understandable, and I don't blame you. In fact, Tom got me at the door when he's putting the cones out this morning. Before I even got in the building, he said, when? Give me a date. I need a timeline. He didn't say that exactly, but that was the intent. And I understand that. If I'm sitting where you're sitting, I would feel the same way, but I honestly can't answer that question. What I promised you 5 weeks ago is that we were going to go through a process with the hope, in which Joel expressed, is that he would not only become healthier in his soul, but would be able to lead again. And so we're praying for that. I want to ask you to keep doing what you've been doing, because I see it and I hear it, and I met with about 10 people over the last couple days, that some of you are sitting there right now, that you love Joel, love on Joel and his family, pray for him. And let's just keep moving ahead as a church. And the attendance has been strong. The offering's good when we actually remember to take it. So I would just say, let's stay on this journey together. In fact, I have a vision. I'm going to go on record here of saying this. I parked as far out as you could today. And then I walked all the way around and came in this, and I timed it. And I said, okay, this is not good, because we're going to grow, and we're going to need that parking lot. We got to get these back doors open. Yeah. Now, everybody that's clapping, I'm going to be coming back to you asking for money. Because it's not going to be at no cost. So we're going to try to look at 4 or 5 options at different prices to see, is there a way we can get this open? Maybe not a permanent structure there, but something that allows us to use those doors, because that's a long walk, especially in the winter. I mean, weather was decent this morning, but anyhow. So let's keep praying, let's keep loving, let's keep trusting God, let's be positive, let's be optimistic as we move forward in this process. And every now and then, probably especially when I'm here, I will give you an update in terms of where we're going. By the way, Joel, that book I sent you changed my life. And I sent him a book. It showed up Thursday. He doesn't know exactly why. We're going to read that together. I need it again. What's that? You already started? Okay, well, I got to catch up then, because I got to get into it this week. So, all right, so this week, as Greg already said, I think Brian said, this is Baptism Sunday. It's one of the greatest moments in the life of a church. Even the video that we saw, it's celebrating transformation that God does. And the title of the day in my message is Transformed. And I'm going to anchor it in one passage of Scripture, which I want to read right now to you, because there's great wisdom in this. And again, a 20 or 25-minute sermon, that's going to be challenging. You haven't started the countdown yet. You can go ahead and start it. Otherwise, I'll go 45 minutes like Steve did. So here's the passage. For Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, that's Jesus. Therefore all died, and he, Jesus, died for all, that those who live, that's us, should no longer live for ourselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. That's us. The old is gone, the new is here. All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. So this is the passage we're going to look at, and I want to begin by asking you a question. Is there some area in your life right now where you're trying to grow? I'm not talking spiritually now. I'm talking about the inner person or the soul. You want to grow. You want to get better. You want to improve. You know, it could be lowering your handicap. I met with someone yesterday that told me that they golfed last week because the weather was nice and they shot a 40-something, which is, I can only dream about that. But you're working at your game. You want to grow. You want to get better. Maybe you're a musician. You want to be able to play the guitar and sing like Ben did this morning, or like Brian does week in and week out, or like Nikki, who I think is going to lead a song later on. Amazing talent. That's you. You want to get better. You want to grow. And so you're taking lessons, or you're doing whatever. You're working at it. You want to run a race. You're 5K, but you're dreaming of a marathon. You know, these are areas that we set goals and we want to grow, and we want to get better at it. We want to improve, whatever it is. Have you ever desperately wanted to change or transform? There's a hand there. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a story that's very old in my life of when I was desperate to change. I was a freshman in high school. It was the first day of high school. I went to Frankenmuth High School. That's where I lived. You go there for chicken, right? And not beer, because this is a church, but that's what they're known for. I grew up in that city, and it was my first day of high school, and I got to tell you, I was 4'11" and weighed about 95 pounds. And that's just an invitation to trouble when you're in high school. I know it's hard for you to believe that when you see this athletic, awesome specimen up here. But I was 4'11", 95 pounds, go to high school. First day, after first hour, there were 2 buildings on our campus. I had to go outside to go to the next building. I'm walking toward the building, shoulders get grabbed from behind. I get pulled around behind this tree, and the guy turns me around and he just punches me right in the nose. Hard. Blood coming out. And then he turns and walks away. I never saw the guy in my life. I didn't know what was going on. I discovered later that he was a sophomore who was about 5'1" and weighed about 98 pounds. He saw a little kid he could beat up. He just did. I still remember his name. It's Don. I'm not going to say more than that. In fact, I made up the name because he might still be out there, and I don't want to get beat up again by ratting him out. But so I go into the restroom, and I got blood, and I'm late for my second hour, and it's just a mess, and I'm shaking, and I'm afraid, and man, what happened? I can't believe this happened. And so fourth hour, I come out of class, I'm walking down the hallway, and by the way, this is in 1968 or 9, I think, somewhere around there, and we were state champs in football those 2 years. We had big guys. I get my shoulders grabbed again from behind, I turn around, and these are these monster linemen and linebackers that grabbed me, and they pulled me into the women's bathroom. And they took the top of the trash can, you know, the old kind, they're metal, and they're like this, and the thing swings. They took it off, they picked me up, put me in the trash can, put the lid back in, and walked out. What do you do in a moment like that? I'm in the women's bathroom. I can't come out. I can't be in the women's bathroom. So I stayed in the trash can for a couple years before I came out. No, I bet you I was in there for 5 minutes because I would hear women coming in and out, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm just in the trash can. Oh, here comes another napkin falling in, something falling in, you know, towels, paper towels. It was a bad start to high school. So when I finally got my way out of there and went back to class, I decided that I couldn't afford to be 4'11" and 95 pounds. You can't grow taller intentionally, but you can work to grow stronger. So I asked my dad if I could have a weight set, and he bought me a weight set, and it had pictures of the guy doing different weights. It looked nothing like me. It was Charles Atlas, if you know that name, type thing, you know? Big, brutal guy. And so I got my mom's measuring tape out, the soft kind you use for when you're sewing, and I measured all my muscles and wrote them down on a piece of paper because I have a goal now. I'm going to bulk up, and then next time someone grabs me, I'm just going to turn around and take care of business right there. So I started doing that because I was desperate to grow, and the end game for me was very clear. No one's going to pick on me anymore. I'm going to be able to defend myself. Now, obviously, looking at me all these years later, I gave up on it pretty soon. Because what I discovered was that I didn't change overnight. I mean, literally, every time I worked out, I would go up and measure. Did that for 2 weeks, nothing was happening, and it was a lot of work, and I would rather go out and play around with my friends, so I quit doing it. That was a long time ago. I was desperate to change. So now let's talk about what we're talking about today. Transformation, being transformed. Not in our physical life. Those things are all good. There's value in all those things that I mentioned up front, things that you might be working on. But what about a vision for the inner person? Like, do you want to be here a year from now? In fact, it was a year ago at this time, in October, I think more, that we were doing a series here called Grow. You remember that? We had a little chart, 5 things. This is going to be a very quick synopsis of that, what we shared for those 5 weeks. I would encourage you to go back into our archives online and watch those messages. But it was a year ago, so if you can remember that moment, how are you different today? How do you see the work of God in your life? Are you more patient? Not as quick to respond in anger to things as you were a year ago? Are you more generous with your life? Willing to be disrupted and interrupted? I mean, we could go through a list of things. Do you see that process happening in your life? Because God saves us and redeems us not just to take them to heaven when we die. He has a vision for while we live. And as far as I can tell, everyone here is living right now. So if your heart is beating and you're breathing and you're moving around and you're doing life, God has a vision for each of us in terms of transforming us, that we don't stay the same. And in the end, that's really, not only does that benefit us, that grows his kingdom because we become men and women and children who are able to spread the light of God through how we conduct ourselves, how we live, the kind of people we are. We become attractive to people. Paul writes about being a fragrance of God. Like, think about what he's saying there. They smell goodness when they get near you. When they get near me, they smell something attractive. It's like the perfume you might put on that people get within 5 feet and they smell it. Well, we're told to let our light shine before others so that they would see our good deeds and glorify our Father in heaven. Jesus said that in the Sermon on the Mount. So that's the goal. The goal of transformation is we are set free and we are free to be who God called us to be, and then we have impact on our world because of the lives that we're living. Not the words that we're saying, but the lives that we're actually living, and that's God's vision. God's vision is that we would ask for a weight set for our soul, and then we would take honest inventory of measurements, and then we would do the work, and over time we would see what God is doing. And so what I want to do, and I've used almost half my time to set this up, in the other half, because I'm going to stay true to my word, about 10 more minutes after we take the offering, which we're going to do right now. You thought I forgot, didn't you? I wanted there to be tension in the room. Oh no, we forgot the offering. So actually, if the ushers, if you could come now, we'll take a little commercial break here, and then we'll jump back into 2 Corinthians 5. So again, as you know, we talked this year a lot about money. I'm sorry if you're new to Kensington, we're not really about twisting arms for money. We do know that at the end of the year, my wife Chris and I, we give extra gifts as God has blessed us during the year. So we had the year in giving video that you saw. You'll see a few more of those that celebrate what God is doing. But this is for the normal day-to-day operation of our church here. So thank you for partnering with us. It keeps the lights on, the building warm, the parking lot plowed, maybe some new entrances down the road in ways that we can support the work here. So God, just bless this offering now. Use it for your purposes here. Just help us to rejoice in the ability to be generous. We pray this in your name. Amen. And online or here, you've seen the different ways that we can give. So, all right, so let's jump into this passage now that we read up front from 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And I just have 4 things. If you want to take notes, if you want to take pictures of the screen as these come up, because I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but I want something to, I want you to take something away this week in terms of, think about the thing that you'd like to grow in. Like you look at the fruit of the Spirit, for example, love, joy, peace, gentleness, self-control, all the things that are there. Is there an area that you say, man, I could use some growth here? I could use some transforming here. Is there some habit or consistent thing you just struggle with that you'd like to be rid of? How does that actually happen? Does it by showing up at church, being involved in a Bible study, reading your Bible, having your quiet time, praying? How do we actually grow? What does the weight set look like? And again, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this today, more across the surface, but just for you to consider these 4 things. So the first one from this passage is this. Paul begins this by saying that it's Christ's love that compels us. And the word that's translated compel can also be constrained, so I think I put them both up there. Constrained or compels us. It's very important that we start here, and this was the main idea of the Grow series last year, is that in the end, the strongest motivator to do anything is love. Love will compel us to do all kinds of things. Love will constrain us to not do certain things. Love is a great motivator. We respond to love more than anything else. If someone loves you, you will give the shirt off your back to that person. You will do anything. I was thinking, I may have said this last year, and I'm sure you remember everything I've ever said here, so I'm sorry for repeating myself, but marriage is a great example of this if the marriage is doing what it's supposed to do. Because when I married my wife, many of you who are married had something similar. We had traditional vows, and I said in front of God and all of our friends and family that were gathered, I said, I promised her that I was forsaking all others, and I was going to cling only to her for the rest of my life. There's no one else. I only have eyes for you, as the song goes. No one else. Half the world is female, half is male approximately, and as a male, I'm standing there 39 years ago saying to my wife, you're it forever. Love compels me. It wasn't duty, obligation, well, I guess I should do this. Someone's twisting my arm. No, I'm looking her in the eyes in front of God, in front of my friends and family saying, it's you, no one else. Why? Because of love. Love constrains us. And we do stupid things for love. We really do. We'll do things, we'll make sacrifices, we'll take risks, we'll give things up for love. Love motivates us to do that. And this is the key element of the Christian faith in my mind, is that God's love is demonstrated toward us in the person of Jesus, his life, his teachings, his death, his resurrection, his love for us. When we can really live in that love and embrace it, we feel compelled to live a certain way. We are constrained from acting in ways that we shouldn't act. So this is the most important thing I'm going to say today, is are you experiencing regularly the love of Christ? Not thinking it, not memorizing verses about it, not saying it, but actually experiencing how deeply you're loved. One of the reasons why we worship here together is there's something powerful about the music and the language of worship that you begin to feel God loving you. I hope you do. That's the goal, is to experience being loved by God, because then when God says, I want you to do this, you go, of course. And when he says, Craig, I think you need to give that up or stop doing that, because it's coming from the lover of my soul, who's only for me and not against me, the answer is yes. So how does transformation happen? It's rooted in the love of Christ, the love that he has for each of us. I hope you're on a pathway toward that. The second thing he goes on in this passage, so the first is that we are constrained or compelled by love. The second is he says that he died for all, that those who live would no longer live for themselves. Do you ever live for yourself? Like almost constantly? And some of that's not bad. If you went out today, you didn't look at the temperature, it was 30 degrees out, and you said, oh, I don't have the right coat, you go back in, you put a coat on yourself. That's loving yourself, that's living for yourself. That's okay, that's normal. But there's also a living for yourself that's selfish, where you are all you think about. I struggle with this. I have my whole life. 39 years of marriage, and we can't agree on the temperature of anything. And so when I say, oh, it's way too hot in here, I'm acting like that's an objective fact. What I should say is, I'm hot. But I'm saying, no, this house is way too hot. And then I go to the thermostat and I turn it down. Not thinking about how she's feeling. And she's like, she's always cold. My wife, Chris, is always cold, and I'm always hot. So this has been 39 years of negotiating this. But the reality is that when I think I'm saying it's too hot, let's turn it down, and I go do that, I'm only considering me. I'm the center of my universe in that moment. My objective, that's an objective reality. It's too hot in here. I'm not thinking about her. This is one silly example of 1,000 ways that I do this. Where, the car that's driving too slow in front of me, see, get out of the way, because I'm important and I'm going somewhere. So now I'm tailgating. I'm passing in a dangerous situation. I've put on about 400 miles this week in Traverse City, driving around and meeting people. I reset my odometer, about 400 miles. I was afraid of deer, by the way. So afraid. You guys are out shooting them, and it's chasing them into the streets. So I've been actually driving not too recklessly. But don't we do this? So he says, the love of Christ compels us, and then he said he died for Craig so that Craig wouldn't live for Craig. So transformation is evidenced when there's less of me. I'm actually able to think outside of what I want in the moment. Whether it's about the temperature in the house or, it's looking at what's at the dinner table and taking the best piece first. I mean, you can think about all the ways that we tend to do that, because this is our basic nature, is to live for ourselves. But when you encounter Jesus in his love, who gave up his life for you, he says, will you give up now? Will you stop living just for yourself? And that's what transformation looks like. That's the second thing. The third one, which is really just the flip side of this, he says that we would no longer live for ourselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. So there's something beautiful when we get this, where every single day that I wake up, take my first breath, swing my feet out of the bed, hit the floor, I have a day ahead of me. Our prayer team this morning, as we were praying, one of the members of the prayer team said, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. We know that verse. But it got me thinking, knowing that I was going to teach this today, that every day is a chance to actually say, this is all for you. It doesn't matter whether you're a pastor, an engineer, a nurse, a school teacher, a stay-at-home mom or dad. It doesn't matter what you do. Every day, if you're a follower of Jesus, you're living for him. What an honor and privilege that is. What if we kept that thought in front of us all the time? Oh, this is not about me. This is about you, God. I'm going to live for you today. What would that look like? And maybe if that was our conscious thought, we would begin to see opportunities that are in front of us all the time to live for him, to take that risk, or to take that step, or to move into a difficult situation, or just bless someone. One of the things I've been trying to work on is when I go into CVS, or I better say Walgreens, so I cover everybody that might work at one of those two. Whatever I'm doing where they have a name tag on. So it's Joan. Joan's helping me with a prescription at CVS. And she's the same one that's there every time I go in. Do I even know her name? Do I ever say, hey, Joan, thank you? How's your day going? Like, isn't that a small thing? But I'm mindful in the moment that this isn't just about me getting a prescription. I'm now interacting with someone who's wonderfully created by God, deeply loved by God. I don't know her journey. Maybe I never will. But can I be a voice of love and kindness in that moment? And especially sometimes you see people working in the retail industry who are just, you can tell they're afraid. Do you know how much, if you work in retail, you know this. You know how many people just hassle, impatient, angry, didn't get it right, negative? It's hard. My kids have all worked in retail, and they tell me how nasty people are. So you come in as a follower of Jesus who is being transformed by him, and you step into that moment. Okay, I better speed this up here. Fourth one. He says, after that, so let's think about this. Love compels us. We don't live for ourselves, we live for him. And then finally it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old is gone, the new is here. Now, anybody not feel like a new creation? This is a promise. This is the work of God. This is not a done deal. We are becoming a new creation. When we accept Christ, in that moment, we know that we are righteous in the eyes of God, but we know we have some work to do. And so the vision of our lives as followers of Jesus, before we go to heaven, is that we are participating with God in this remaking of who we are, this becoming a new creation. You know, it's interesting. I don't think that this is going to take root and become a movement at Kensington, but I was looking at our mission statement this week because it has the word transformed in it, and this is called Transformed. That's our message today. So if you know the mission statement, I've changed it on the slide that you're going to see. Because our mission is to see everyone, and I've made it a verb, transforming and mobilizing by Jesus. Because transform sounds like you're done. And I can tell you, I made my first profession of faith when I was 5 years old. I'm 68. I've been doing this a long time. There's work to be done in me still. If my wife was here, she would take over the mic and she would tell you exactly what all that is. I know that that's true. So I'm not transformed, but I do believe I'm transforming through the power of God. And then mobilizing means that the transformation is not just for ourselves, it's so that we can impact our world. So our mission is that we would be men and women and children who are in the process of transforming into the person that God has created us to be, and that we are being mobilized to have impact in our world. And so that's really the vision of the Christian life and becoming a new creation. Now, how do we actually do this? And this is where it could be a whole other series, and we're not going to do this, but as I just wrap this up, two other scriptures I want you to look at real quickly. Paul has this interesting verse in Philippians where he says that we should continue to work out our salvation. Not work for our salvation. We're already saved by the grace of God. But work it out with fear and trembling. And that simply means take this serious. Like, get the weight set and start doing the work. So that is our role. We show up intentional about doing this, but then it says, for it is God who works in you. Which is it? Both. We work it out, and then God works in us to will and to act according to fulfill his purposes for our lives. So it's our work and it's God's work, and it's the mystery of how those two come together. I say to God, I want to be transformed. I want to do the work. I want to know you more. I want to love you more. I want to become that person that you can transform and you can use to change the world. I want you to do it, but he says, okay, let's get at it. And there's things that he invites us to do. And I would sum all that up in one thing, and this is the last verse, and then I'm done. This is a promise from James. It says, if you draw near to God, he will draw near to you. And you know how change takes place? It takes place in proximity. If you were really working on your golf swing or your tennis game or whatever you're doing, you would get a coach, and the coach is going to be there, right there with you. Nope, you got to lower before you swing, you got to come up. That's how you get the top spin. They're going to walk you through it. You got to draw near to your coach and listen to your coach and then put into practice what your coach is saying. So James very simply sums up the whole process of transformation by saying, and I'm saying this to you today, will you draw near to God daily throughout your day? Because there's the promise. He draws near to you. Now, he's already here. It's not like he was off distance and he says, oh, Craig's drawing near, so I better get there. He's always here. But I'm not taking advantage of that. When I draw near to God, I realize, well, God, you're right here with me. And it's the power of that relationship that we cultivate that transforms us. So that's the invitation. Now, the picture of this is what's going to happen right now. Let's welcome all the kids that are here with us. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and I gave more than 1,000 words, but we have beautiful pictures coming now. And the pictures of some men and women and some students who have made the decision, the commitment, that as a follower of Jesus, they are going to be baptized. And if baptism is not something you're familiar with, it's simply a picture, a powerful picture of the work of God of transforming us, that the water represents death to the old life in coming out of the water, cleansed and ready now to live in the newness that God has for us. So we're going to have about 9 or 10 that have planned to be baptized, but I'm going to speak a challenge right now. And I think the last baptism you did that here. I think I watched it online, and there were some people in the audience that didn't come planning to be baptized that made the decision in the moment. You know, there's a story in Acts chapter 8 where Philip met someone who was reading Isaiah and couldn't figure it out, and Philip explained to it, and they went by some water, and this Ethiopian said, let me get baptized. And they stopped and they went right into the water. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm inviting you, as you witness these baptisms and you think about the work of God in your life, if you've never made the decision to be baptized, but you have made a decision to trust Jesus, you can be baptized today. And we have a shirt for you that you can change into, because you're going to get wet. And we have a towel for you, but we don't have pants for you. So you're going to go out into the cold and sit in your car and get your seat wet. But I think you're going to rejoice in what God did in your heart this morning. So no pressure, no arm twisting, but as we see these baptisms, if God moves you, come down to the front. There'll be, will you Lisa's waving her hand. Come and talk to Lisa, and she'll help you get ready to go in the tank, because you'll go last. You'll go at the end. I got to say one last thing. First time in India was 23 years ago. Went to the Godavari River for a baptism. There were about 5 people being baptized. And in India, if you're baptized, that's when you're all in, and that's when you often face persecution and rejection. So we baptized the 5, and by then about 300 or 400 people had gathered on the hill, mostly Hindus watching this. My daughter was with me, who was blonde, Steve Andrews' daughters were there. They were blonde. I realized this is a new evangelism technique, by the way. Bring a bunch of blondes to a country that have never seen blondes, and it just drew people. They all wanted to touch their hair, whatever. But I digress. At the end, Jaya stood in the river and called out to the crowd, is there anyone today that wants to follow Jesus in baptism? And this man walked down, I'll never forget, because he was tall. For Indians, he was over 6 foot. He walked down into the water, they baptized him, and one of the members of the church there said, this man has been struggling with making his faith public because he's going to be ostracized from his family, he's going to lose his job. But in that moment, God moved in his heart to do it, and so he got adopted into the community. We're not facing that here. If God is working in your life and you haven't taken this step, this might be the moment for you this morning. So I encourage you to prayerfully think about that. But now let's celebrate these new lives, these people who are being transformed by the power of Christ.
Arrive at the highest Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. All right, can you tell me your name?
Alex,
Alex. Awesome. Alex, how old are you?
8.
8. Alex, why do you want to be baptized today? You don't know? That's all right. You know, we talked about it before, right? That you've decided that you want to follow Jesus for the rest of your life, right? And you want everyone here to know that, right? Awesome. I'm so excited. Cool. Awesome. All right, can you tell me your name?
Michael,
Michael and?
Doug.
Doug. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Michael and Doug over the past couple of years, and it's been a true honor to get to know their entire family, and just to see just to partner in them in their spiritual walk has really been an honor of mine, and to know that they have been led by a family in our church and been encouraged to come and get to know Jesus, whether their faith background is strong or not. And so to be with you guys today, to be with your whole family is a true honor. And so I am just so excited for this moment for you guys. Can we give them a hand? Whoa. You're right, guy. All right, perfect. So, Hold on a little bit there, Kylie. So we have, what's your name?
Kylie.
Kylie and?
Holly.
It's just an honor to be here with the second part of this family today. I'm just so pumped. I think I said it all beforehand.
This is my oldest son at home, youngest son, Theron. Theron's 17, and he asked me to read his little statement. I've believed in God most of my life. I've gone to church most Sundays and know that I want to live alongside my fellow Christians, working to become stronger believers who will live the word out for the glory of God. I started wanting to make my faith my own since I started working at Lake Ann Camp over the summers. I've seen people so used by God, and I want that for my own life. So that's why I want to be baptized, because I want to proclaim my faith to the world, my church community. If you want to keep the towel dry, don't put it in the back. The splash zone, apparently. Yep. Hey, this is Dominic Cole. How old are you, Dominic?
18.
All right, we've talked a little bit. Dominic, did you want to say anything? You want me to say it? I think I'm good. You're good? All right. Dominic said he'd given his life to Jesus as a younger man, as a boy, right? But now he's wanting to take charge of his faith. As an 18-year-old launching into adulthood, right? Yep. He wants to live his life for Jesus. So here we are. It's awesome. This is Gunnar. Gunnar, tell everybody how old you are.
18.
All right, Gunnar actually said, yeah, another 18-year-old. Gunnar actually said that he wanted to say just a little bit here, right? Yeah. Tell a little bit of your story. How'd you get in this tank?
So first of all, I want to thank the great staff, super welcoming to me here, like just every day, always welcoming me. And more specifically, Bobby, who one day I was riding my bike around here. This is before I ever walked in this church. And Bobby just comes out and stops me on my bike. And he's like, come on in. And Bobby sat with me and talked to me. And he just welcomed God and Jesus to me. And he made me feel really welcomed here. So I love you, Bobby. And I love the whole staff. Thank you.
I love your story, like, for so many reasons. First of all, like, Gunnar didn't come from a family who knew Jesus, right? He had an aunt who kind of had faith, but is not from a family who has expressed faith in any way. So Gunnar's out riding his bike in the parking lot and gets stopped and brought in and walked beside. And it's just this is a testimony of how God chased somebody, right? And also, God used somebody just to simply invite, right? And I'm feeling super emotional. This is amazing. Like, this young man has had an encounter with Jesus, has an encounter with God, and he wants to live his life, the rest of his life for him. Awesome. This is Brian. He's not 18. Do you want to share a little bit of your story? You want me to share? Go ahead. So, Brian is an example that it's never too late to start again. Brian's recently just decided to give his life back to God, right? Kind of gave his life as a young man, as a young boy, and has just come back, right? The prodigal, right? A little bit. Prodigal coming home. And Brian's an example of it's not too late to start. It's not too late to restart. He's right on time. So one of the beautiful things that we do here at Kensington is open this up. If you have watched what's happened, or if you felt God leading in your life that you want to give your life to Him or give your life to Him again publicly, we now have 3 people who've come just now who weren't signed up for baptism, didn't register. They just spontaneously want to follow Jesus in this way. So we're going to welcome them as well. Can you tell us your name?
Andrea. This is my second time, but I'm rededicating myself.
So I'm going to ask the questions that I asked them quietly out loud. Is that okay? Andrea, do you believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life?
I do.
Is it your intention to live for Him the rest of your life?
Yes, it is.
Hi, girls. Who are you?
Harper. I'm Kennedy.
Are you related to each other? Sisters?
Stepsisters. Yeah.
Stepsisters, all right. Can you tell us why you want to get baptized today?
I feel it's right to follow Jesus. Same as her.
Good call. Hi, buddy. Can you tell us your name?
Dane,
Dane? How old are you, Dane?
9.
Why do you want to be baptized today, sir?
I just feel it's right to follow Jesus.
I feel it's right to follow Jesus. Boom.
Tell me your name.
Peyton.
Peyton. So it's funny, Peyton and I actually work out at the same gym together, and we got to know each other through working out, and would occasionally see Peyton showing up at church, and got to know him a little bit better through that. But Peyton, why do you want to be baptized today?
I've been ignoring this calling for a long time, and it's time to make the commitment.
That's awesome.
Peyton, can you tell us how old you are?
I am 25 years old.
The line's empty. And you're invited. We're going to pause just for a moment. If anybody else wants to do this, it's open for you. His love compels us, doesn't it? It's a natural thing when you know how much God loves you to turn that love back around. It's a beautiful thing. Is this beautiful this morning? Never too early, never too late. First time, second time. It's a beautiful thing. All right, band, it's up to you.
Run for cover, but the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. Still the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Yeah, my praise belongs to you forever. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Together, sons and daughters, bought with blood and washed in Spirit, Son, and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Yes, our God will finish what He started. Oh, this is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Oh. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, then you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. Oh, I'm alive. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Oh.
Well, we went late again today. Would you not agree for a good reason? Awesome. All right, lines of that song, man, they just got to me. I'm not dead, you're not done. Can we say that to God? He's here with us, right? Let's say it together to God. I'm not dead, you're not done. Also, grace rewrote my story. Grace is rewriting our stories of these students and these adults. By the way, Next Gen, as we saw in the video earlier, right here in this tank. Thank you for the work that you're doing here. Amazing. And if God was nudging you, you didn't come forward, there's future chances. We would love to baptize you as part of your journey with Jesus. So I'm going to say 3 words sending you out the door. The first is that let's let the love of Christ compel us more this week, okay? Let's draw near to God. The second thing is making room. This Advent book written by one of your own, Betty Dickinson. We're going into the holiday season. These are available in the lobby for a donation. I would really encourage you to grab one. I'm going to start again. It starts earlier. It starts well before Christmas. So if you want to jump in with us, Betty will be out in the lobby today to make these available. So third thing is I was thinking about the door and the parking lot thing I talked about, and I said I parked in the back, not to boast, but I wanted to time it. And I was thinking, here's a challenge I would give to you, because love gives up. So would many of you agree to start parking there? And the worse the weather, the more you're committed to parking there. Because what we're doing is we're making space here for people that are coming for the first or second or fifth time, and they can park near the door. While we're trying to figure out that, one of the ways we could help with the parking is if many of us would park out there and just make that extra 2 or 3 minute walk into the door. So I'll be back here around Christmas time. I'll be checking on you to see if you're doing it. I'll be parking my rental car out there. So anyhow, last thing, I guess, I said 3, here's the 4th. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful time with friends and family, expressing your gratitude for God this week. And then go Lions. God bless.